and welcome to Get Results, preparation for 8A Business Development webinar. On behalf of our president, Ron Busby, our board, chambers, and our staff, thank you for attending. I'm Warren Richard Jr., Outreach Specialist with the U.S. Black Chambers, Inc., affectionately known as the global voice of Black businesses. We represent over 160 Black chambers of commerce and small businesses and are founded on 5 pillars of service: advocacy, access to capital, contracting, entrepreneurial training, and chamber development. This series was crafted in collaboration with our chambers of commerce, providing technical assistance and resources to businesses across the U.S. with the U.S. Small Business Administration's Community Navigator Pilot Program. Thank you for your assistance in developing and sharing this program. Today, we welcome our discussion on preparing the 8A program to achieve results for business development and expansion and growth with experts that have significant years of quality experience working with the Small Business Administration, providing tools and resources to enhance the contracting potential for small business owners. Our team at USBC, as well as our 20 Navigator chambers, look forward to being a resource to you and your business as you navigate through this journey. I encourage you to drop your questions into the chat, and we will address as many as possible at the end of each speaker. If there are any questions we do not get a chance to answer during the webinar, we'll make sure we get those answered and forwarded to you after. As your moderator today, I have the distinct pleasure to introduce to you our guest speakers today. I must say, after speaking with each of them to get to know them a bit, I found their experience and knowledge of the 8A program to be quite fulfilling and interesting. I'm sure if you have come with questions, they will be answered, and then some. So I'd like to introduce our speakers for today. Our first panelist will be Sandra Barrett. Ms. Barrett has been with the U.S. Small Business Administration for 16 years. She currently serves as the Director of Management and Technical Assistance Division, which consists of the Empower to Grow, which is E2G, formerly the 7J Management and Technical Assistance Program, and the SBA's Mentor Protege Program, formerly the Director of the Office of Certification and Eligibility under the 8A Business Development Program and SBA headquarters in Washington, D.C. Prior to working for SBA and the 8A Business Development Program, Ms. Barrett served as the Supervisory Business Opportunity Specialist for the Washington Metropolitan District Office training, educating and developing small businesses interested in doing business with government, federal, state, and local levels. She managed a portfolio of 8A companies by providing business development and assisting in winning 8A contracts. Our next panelist is Ms. Lisa Wood. Lisa is the statewide director of the Virginia PTAC, hosted by George Mason University, where she is also an adjunct professor of management. So let me correct that. It's the Virginia Apex Accelerator program. And prior to that, she served as the statewide director with the Connecticut and Ohio PTAC programs, and was also director for the Northwest Commission PTAC in Pennsylvania. Before joining the PTAC community, Lisa was a procurement specialist for Bechtel Plant Machinery Incorporated in the greater Pittsburgh area. And in this role, she performed contract administration and negotiation duties. She also recommended bidders, handled issue inquiries, negotiated bids, and performed cost and price analysis and prepared comprehensive letters to justify contract actions. Ms. Woods holds an MBA from the University of New Haven. Next, we will have Joanne Braxton, retired from the U.S. Small Business Administration, Office of Entrepreneurial Development, Office of Government Contracting and Business Development, and the Office of Field Operations after 30 years of service with the Small Business Administration. Today, as the CEO of the Braxton Group, she is a small business advocate that provides consulting services to high-achieving emerging small businesses seeking to conduct business with the federal government. She collaborates with resource partners and technical assistance providers to develop and deliver training in federal contracting-related curriculums. She has earned an MBA from Central Michigan University and a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, Management, and Operations from Champlain College. And our final panelist, Ms. Rebecca Reeves, is the founder and CEO of R.K. Reeves and Associates, Incorporated, a professional services firm based in DeKalb County, Georgia. Under her leadership, the company transitioned from consulting and training to an environmental support business. In 2014, the company successfully exited the SBA 8A program. And she is the final panelist with great experience and in-depth knowledge, specifically related to all of our audience of small businesses that are looking to be in her shoes soon. And it is an honor and pleasure to have you all here today. Welcome to our presentation for 8A Business Development webinar. All right, Ms. Barrett, you take us away with your presentation. Yeah, there you go.
I was on mute. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You got to remember these things when you're virtual.
Yes, right.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. I love doing these sessions, and I thank you all with the collaborations that you all have with the U.S. Small Business Administration. So this is amazing. And to be on a panel with some other wonderful presenter women that are here today to share great news with the audience. If you can go to the next slide. So today I'm just going to share a few things about the 8A program, good things that you should hear about the 8A program. And after, our presentation, you should think about whether you should apply for the 8A program or not. As Mr. Richard was saying, I've been on both sides of the house. I was a business opportunity specialist where I think I called myself a counselor. I managed maybe over 160 companies, 8A companies before. So I know that side of the house. And then I later moved on into headquarters. In the headquarters, I did the not so good part of the 8A program, which is the eligibility piece. It talks about adverse action and things that when you're in the program that you have to adhere to. And if you don't, you didn't like when you got that actual call from me or email. And then I became the director of the Office of Certification Eligibility. So I was able to review and touch and see a lot of applications and see the pitfalls of where SBA needed to make some changes and also where we were not communicating properly to you all, and also the type of application you would submit to us. So today, I'm going to give you a few snippets of the things, what the program is about. And why I think I consider ourselves, well, I'm probably biased, the best program from SBA, but don't tell any of my other colleagues about that. So what is it about the 8A program? It's a 9-year program. It's a 9-year program. It used to be maybe 7 years, a long time ago. I like to always go back to historical facts. And then it was changed to a 9-year program. We're always getting calls and saying, will the program add more years? We don't know. And we truly don't know that because actually this program is, if you all know, it's governed by Congress. And only Congress can make those changes. So it's for a 9-year program. The only time the 9 years was changed was back in 2020 due to COVID. And because of COVID, we added an extra year. But the extra year was not a permanent year for new companies coming in. The extra year was for companies at that time that were in a program between March of 2020 and September. And so they're able to get an extra year. So if you hear some friends saying, I'm in the program for 11 years, But I mean, for 10, I'm gonna go back 10 years, yes, because of COVID, but no one else is getting that extra year anymore because in 2020. And if you're 11 years, it's because also we did a declared emergency that we use based on regulation to also let companies pause, suspend their participation. You didn't get any benefits, but you were able to get that time back. So you'll hear a company saying, I have 11 years of program. That's why. You heard it from the horse's mouth as to why some companies may be longer than 9 years. But it's a split. And the split is in two phases. You have the developmental stages, and I'm going to talk to you about later on why they make a difference. The developmental stage is basically year 1 to 4. And then you have the transitional stage that is actually year 5 through 9. So remember those two stages. The program was designed, people always ask what's the vision. I'd say be able to compete. At a point, minorities were not able to compete. And so that's why SBA became in existence. You're able to compete in the American economy. And you're wondering, what does that mean? Well, it means a lot being able to compete. The next bullet talks about provide access to 8A contracts opportunities. Well, we have the sole source capability, meaning that's a direct award to your company, and that's at $4.5 million. We're still fighting that cap. We're going to keep fighting, and eventually it will be able to increase. It increased to 4.5 because of inflation. And so most likely in a couple of years, it will increase any further. Those are for services. And when you talk about manufacturing, it's at $7 million. But those are sole source, meaning an agency can find you and they can give you the award directly to you. They don't have to ask any other questions. They don't need a rule of two to compete. The contract is yours. So that's the beauty of why most agencies like sole source to the 8A program when there's emergencies, and it's much easier and faster. So there's always a pitch that you can use when you're out there saying that you're 8A. Do not lead with that, but it's a good incentive that you can use. Another thing is training and technical assistance. Yes. You heard earlier, we have a program called Empower to Grow, E2G, formerly known as 7J, Management Technical Assistance. It's not new. It's been around since the existence of the 8A program, and I think that goes back to 1978. So it's not new. We just revamped, added more new incentives and good things for 8A program, a little bit extra for the 8A participants. Now, the program is not only for 8A, you could also be HubZone, you could be economic disadvantaged woman owned, and if you live in a low income or high unemployment, you're able to get these benefits. But the benefits that the 8A participants can get is free. Free 99. It's free 99. I go around the country talking about that it's free 99. Customized, hands-on training, executive education, technical assistance, tailors to your specific need. Yes. And the last thing about the training and technical assistance is that we have partnered up with a company called Network, who is one of my grantees, and they have this amazing system called BitSpeed that will allow you to look for local and states opportunity. Yes, almost 2 million opportunities are out there. And so this is the training and assistance that we provide. Lastly, there's more to the 8A program, but these are the bullets that you should know why the program is great. You get a business opportunity specialist, which I was one of those 16 years ago. And I loved it. I believe I was a counselor and a mentor as well, because those companies, when they come in for the 9 years, they are with you for 9 years. The business opportunity specialist is very important to your company. We are the ones that provide that roadmap. We are the frontline person that you can call on and basically ask any kind of questions to be able to assist you in your 9 years. And that's why it's a business development program. And that's why it's also important that you are communicating and you communicate with your business opportunity specialist at all times, because they're the ones that are there to protect you and provide any kind of assistance that you need. Next slide. Okay. These are the eligibility criteria. There you see that I added the regulation, the 13 Code of Federal Regulations. That is our, if I recall, that's our Bible. There's an electronic version that you can, but I'm going to show my handy dandy book. I have a book that goes back to 1995. I love this book because I can always go back and reference it. So this book is very important to lead you and tell you what you can and cannot do in the 8A program. But if you are submitting an application, these here are the criteria that we look at, the requirements that you need to qualify in order to be in a program. When we talk about U.S. citizen, that's very self-explanatory. You have to be a U.S. citizen when you apply for the program. It checks, and that's something that SBA does not govern. It's something that it comes overall with our small businesses in the program, and it's just not the 8A program. You have to be small. And we're asking, well, we're small. Well, your North American Industry Classification Code. This is a small business program. And so this, in order for you to get any contracts, you have to make sure that you are small for your primary NAICS code. And so we do check that. I'm going to skip over social disadvantage, but I'm going to come back. Economic disadvantage. Yes, you must verify that the disadvantaged 51% owner of the company or owners, could be multiple ones, are adhering to our thresholds. And you're asking me, what are those thresholds? Well, your net worth should be under $850,000. Your total asset under 6.5 million. And then your annual income, 400,000. Back, I believe in 2020, 2020 or 20, I'm getting my dates wrong, maybe between 2020 and 2023, we did change the threshold because of inflation. And so we are looking more into the program and saying, well, what does society look like these days? And do we need to increase? I just came from the disadvantaged business enterprise with Department of Transportation, and we were talking about the same thing, increasing the threshold so we can actually create wealth, generational wealth, because we want you all to stay in these programs. Ownership. As I mentioned earlier, you have to be 51% ownership. You have to be unconditional 51% ownership. Now, there can be multiple ones that can settle 51%, and that's fine. Or there can be two owners that are 50%, but they have to be disadvantaged. And so those are the ways that you can decide how you want to come into the program. Control and management, very important, because normally companies are coming and they have another job. We understand how things are going these days, and sometimes you may be scared of jumping over, starting your own business, or you haven't really done much with your small business, but you also want to keep that company on the side. But our regulation says that you must devote full time. You have to do full-time devotion. And you also have to make all the final decisions. Now, with management, we do make some exceptions if you do have a part-time job, but make sure that part-time job does not conflict with your 8A firm. And an example would be your real estate agent on the weekend. That does not conflict with your 8A company. But it depends. But we do ask that you make sure that when you submit your application, that it's something that you are communicating with us, so we can know at that time what's happening with your circumstances. And even when you get into the program, we do have a waiver that will allow you to still work outside of the 8A program for a while. But it's not a holding pattern. So you have to make sure that when you do want to come in, you only have those 9 years. So if you are working outside and you're not using those 9 years, you do not get those years back. Good character, asking real good characters. Normally with good character, we're looking at no liens, judgment. Life happens. These days I tell everybody that we're just lifing and we're just moving with it. That is not a word, but I just made it up. So I think I'm gonna get credit for it. An example of probably a lien or judgment could be your federal taxes are not paid, or you're not bringing them to a satisfactory status. We do take payment plans. We need to know that you're on a payment plan. And the reason why I brought up federal taxes is because it is a federal program. And we think that you should be able to pay your taxes because it's a cycle. It's a cycle. My taxes, everybody else's taxes, your taxes are being recycled, and that's how you're getting contracts. So you have to make sure that those taxes are being paid. So I'm gonna go back to social disadvantage. It's been the elephant in the room since July of 2019. As you all know, the social disadvantage at that time, prior to July 19th, it said that basically they were presumed groups that were already considered to be social disadvantage. Well, present day things have changed, and I will talk a little bit about that later. And now everyone has to submit a narrative about their social disadvantage status. You cannot claim that you are Black American, Asian American, subcontinental Asian, Native Hawaiian. You cannot claim that you are now and then you will pass the test. Now you actually have to do a narrative. Next slide. Oh, right. Well, if you didn't hear anything I said in the first two slides, I believe this is the most important slide of my presentation today. Again, this is the most important slide of my presentation today. The certified system. The certified system was created in 2017 when we launched November 2017, and that allowed everyone to submit their application via an actual system electronically. If I show you pictures of what the application, my old prior position, that what we call where the division used to house these applications, it was a lot. And then after those applications was approved, they would ship them out and they would send them to the very 68 different offices that we have. Wow, that's a lot of money, right? Because you had to pay a lot of money to submit with stamps, and we're not doing that anymore. So this is a system. What is the system about? This system has a lot of links where you will go and you will look at resources, which I say is very imperative that you will go here before you apply. If you look at under the side says certified homepage, discover 8A. You discover anything about 8A. Should I apply? This is maybe a 2-minute quiz that I believe you should take should you be able to apply. The program may not be for everyone. So what I tell my companies or companies that I talk to, I'm very transparent. Do not apply when somebody says, oh, you are not able to get this contract because you're not in an 8A program. Do not fall for that, please. I'm government, and sometimes I know that it could be a government employee saying, because you're constantly calling them and asking them to have any work for you to do. And so do not take them from that. Just make sure that you're ready. It's a 9-year program and you're ready to come in, you're running, and you know what you need to do, because if you don't, you're going to miss it. Most companies come back to me and tell me, if I knew what I knew now, I would have never applied at that time. And then what they're doing is what they used to ask me, can I get years back? You cannot get years back. I call it like the Washington Post. If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's over after those 9 years. You cannot come back into the program at all. It's a one-time eligibility for yourself and for that company. You could probably come back as being a management for another company, but we will also vet you, but you cannot come back as the owner of another company. So please look at that, guy. Oh, what we did in 2022 is amazing. Now, if you jump over to the next side, 8A guidance, there's a quick guide. We have any and everything that you're looking for. What do we do? Application review. These are the questions. These are all the questions that you need to submit a response to. It is front and center in your face. You can print it out. You can go back, read it, take your time. There's no rush. The 8A program is not going anywhere. Frequent asked questions. There's tips for success, roadmap to 8A. We have done it all for you all. Training videos, everything that you can find, even how to set up your account as well, and then local assistance as well there. And then the last thing that we have done this year, every and anything called Guide for Demonstrating Your Social Narrative. There's videos. There's even the whole entire Ultima case that you can read about and get to see exactly what happened. We have tips on how to submit your narratives. We have any and everything. You all asked and we delivered. We know that it was painful. It was painful for us as well. I say July 19th will be another day in history for me that goes with other events in my life, because we had to go and pivot and do a lot of things in order to get here. And that's why we are here. The program is not going anywhere, and we're going to do any and everything in our powers to keep it going. Next slide. Okay, like I said, the elephant in the room, Ultima. Just a quick recap of Ultima, as you all know, or if you all do not know, back on July 19, 2023, the U.S. District Court of Eastern District of Tennessee issued a ruling that really affected our program. And as I go back, I think there was tough days for us because we had to figure things out for the program as well, not for new entrants, but also current participants in the program will also target. That was very painful for us. We made it through. We're still standing. I think I still look cute after all that. You may still see my gray hairs, but I'm okay with that. And so it targeted our presumed groups. And as I mentioned earlier, presumed groups were to be Asian specific, Black Americans, Hispanic, Native American, subcontinental. These companies can just tick the box and say that it was socially disadvantaged. Not anymore. Not anybody can submit an application, and they have to provide the preponderance of the evidence to tell us why they are considered to be socially disadvantaged. Again, while we had to pivot, the program is still up and running and it's not going anywhere. The court case is still pending. It's still pending. We do not have a final rule. So right now, in the meantime, we're just waiting and we're just operating as we are. We're approving applications every single day. Our return rate is really good. And so I would encourage you all to go back to the previous slide and read about Ultima. Don't let it discourage you because, again, I'm here as a living testimony that we're still going, we're still working. My side of the house now, farms are getting contracts. I am negotiating large vehicles. So there's light at the end of the tunnel, and it's a very good one. Next slide. I have shared everything that I wanted to share with you all today. I thank you all. And this last slide basically is additional information. If you have any questions about application, it's 88questions at sba.gov. This is where you can send your emails. It consists of multiple business opportunity specialists that process actual applications, and they can answer your questions and they can contact you about anything 8A application that you need. And I thank you all, and I welcome any questions now. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Richard.
I apologize. I had to get myself unmuted there. But thank you so much, Ms. Barrett. Thank you so much. That was an excellent presentation. Yes, we have some questions that have been placed in the chat. Let's see. We have, you probably get this question often. Are the opportunities available as an 8A organization only for, I think the person wanted to say for profit, but it says not for profit organizations.
So I think that's probably leading to. So yes, you have to be a for-profit. This is for for-profit company. Nonprofit, unfortunately, are not unless you are considered to be a Native Hawaiian organization, which that's a different section that we could talk about. You could send me an email, but you have to be for an individual company. You have to be for a not-for-profit.
Okay, thank you so much. And Cassandra asks, is there an age limit for eligibility?
Yes, I think it's the normal age for starting a company in the United States. I believe it has to be over 18 to start a company. Yes. But don't quote me on that, but I believe you have to be 18 of age, legal age.
I think you're right. I think you're right. And let's see. Okay, this person said a scenario here. What if your bills show late payment and your federal payments are late as well due to receiving late reimbursements from your funding sources?
I'm guessing that goes to the question about character.
Right, right.
So basically, we'll ask for some sort of verification that your bill has been paid or you have provided them with any kind of payment plan. It's all about verification. It's all about what you can submit to us. We're not just going to assume because we see a documentation that says that it's late, that you are late, because we know depending on when you're submitting things for us, there may be a lapse in time. So if you are able to justify exactly that this does not match your current status, we're okay with that.
All right. Well, I think we've already answered that question regarding nonprofits. It's not for nonprofits, it is for profits. Let's see, one other question I'm going to try to get in. I'm planning to move out of the country, but still hold standing in the US. Does that matter, or does that factor into my application and duration in the program?
So I'm guessing the question is, are you able to apply? I will answer it from that. If not, can you
Right.
read it again? It's okay. If it's able to
Yeah.
apply. So yes, that does matter. That does matter. Our regulation says that you have to be a U.S. based company, and we're saying as a disadvantaged owner, you have to be based in the United States. That may be up for debate in some other SBA programs, but right as of right now, you have to be a U.S. based company, and you have to reside in the United States.
Okay. And final question, is there a minimum annual revenue?
We do not have a minimum annual revenue, but that is a great question because one of the questions that we have, and I encourage you to go and look at the application preview question, is we check to see whether you're a viable company or not. And I like to say this that I don't like to offend any company, but there's a difference between a hobby and a company. And so I'm gonna use this as an example. If you're showing us financial statements and you've only done $5,000, we're trying to see the magnitude. How are you able to be able to perform in government contracting? We're going to look at that. Now, the one I'd say response that will not move your application forward is if you have no revenue at all. But we don't really have a limit on revenue, but we do look at how much money you're making to actually for potential for success. That's one of our criteria that we talk about potential for success.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Barrett. Awesome. Thank you. That
Okay.
uh, excellent responses and excellent presentation. Thank you so much. All right. So the next presenter we have is Miss Lisa Wood. Lisa, can you take us away?
Thank you. Those were great comments, Sandra. That was wonderful how you put that. Very easy for everyone to understand. The one thing I wanted to bring up before we get started on my section is a not-for-profit is considered large to the government. So if you're a nonprofit, you can't be a small business. So just keep that in mind if you're a nonprofit. So I'm part of the Apex Accelerators, formerly known as PTAC. I'm sure you all know who we are. And I do 8As all the time and go through the applications. And there are 5 mistakes that I see businesses make on a regular basis. So we're going to address those because if you can catch those while you're doing the application, it's going to cut down on the comments that are going to be on your deficiency letter. Next slide, please. Not reading the instructions, number 1. So Sandra was kind enough to give you all the places you can go to get information on to see whether you're even eligible for the program. So I have people always come to me. They want 8A, and I ask them, have you gone to the SBA's website and read the eligibility requirements and what you need to do to prepare for the 8A application? And 9 times out of 10, they say, no, I haven't done that yet. So please read. It is a wealth of information, and you might find you're not quite there yet. So it's going to save you a lot of extra work and time spent doing an application that you're never going to get approved until you're ready and eligible for the program. Next slide. So this is a big one, and it's easy to miss, but the SBA requires that you not have more than 70% of your revenue coming from any one customer. So you might have a really good customer and you have multiple contracts with them, but they're all coming from the same customer. So for example, let's say you're contracting with Raytheon, and you could have multiple efforts going on with them that are not the same contract, they're different contracts, but Raytheon is paying you. So you cannot have more than 70% of your revenue coming from one customer. So some of my clients are there. They have 100% revenue coming from one customer. So we have to wait. And I encourage them to go out and diversify, find business from somebody else other than Raytheon, if that's who their one customer is. That way you can even out that ratio. So it should be comfortably below that 70% criteria. So what they like to see is a nice, diverse contractual basket of revenue coming in. So you might have some private sector, commercial work, maybe work with schools or some government agencies, state agencies, local government. So a good mix of various revenue streams coming into your business, because if you have only one customer and that customer goes away, you're going to be in trouble. So they like to see that you have a nice varied revenue base. Next slide. So not completing the potential for success, you really need to make a list of all the businesses that you have a contractual obligation with. It goes back 12 months. So that's how we prep businesses for this part of the application. You need to write down the business who paid you, what the scope of work was. You have to assign a NAICS code to it, even if it wasn't a federal opportunity. You have to say to yourself, what industry is this? And assign the proper NAICS code. So this is the one question we always ask people when they want 8A. Do you have any contracts? If they say no, we've never had a contract, you're ready to go back to square one. You have to have contractual obligations that you've administered a contract from start to finish. If you've made this schedule and they give you a nice little schedule to fill out, if you haven't filled it out completely, it's going to get kicked back. They're going to ask for more information. And I've had people come back to me who did this without assistance say, I don't know what they're asking for here and I didn't fill it in. So it's a huge, huge issue with SBA. They want to see that you know how to administer a contract from start to finish, because they don't want you to fail. They need to know that you understand your business processes and you know how to handle customers, clients, and administer the contracts. So make sure that you have this filled out properly and assign those very important NAICS codes. Next slide. The primary NAICS code on the tax return. So they don't tell you this, or it's not told in a very clear way, but you might get a deficiency letter back from the SBA saying, your primary NAICS code is not on your tax return. And you're saying, what does that even mean? So what that means is on your business return, there's a box called business code, and your accountant usually puts a business code in there, not knowing anything about 8A. What you need to have in there, and hopefully you can do this prior to submitting your application. You can start preparing now, especially if you haven't done your taxes yet. Take your primary NAICS code that you selected in SAM, have that put on your tax return. So if it comes back as a deficiency bullet on your deficiency letter, you have to get a letter from your accountant saying, I'm sorry, I didn't understand what that meant. Moving forward, I will ensure that that primary NAICS code is on the business's business tax return. So it's really important. It sounds like a small thing, but it's important that you're getting business in your primary NAICS code. Next slide, please. Please do not pay someone to do your application. This is free to you. There are organizations out there who are resource partners, who are funded by the government, who will help you with your application. There are those out there who will charge you a lot of money, and there's no guarantee that they're going to get you approved for that application. So please go to somebody who knows what they're doing, that they do it often, and they're able to walk you through these processes and send in an application that is together. And they'll even give you credit if they say, did somebody help you? And you say, for example, the Apex accelerators helped me. And if you can document that, showing maybe some email conversations between you and your Apex accelerator counselor, that they assisted you with the application, it sort of gets moved to the front of the pile. So you can get approved a little bit faster if They know that you had help and that your package would pretty much be complete and properly put together. Next slide. So in summary, please be prepared, as Sandra said as well. Do your homework. Do the due diligence. Find out exactly what you need to have loaded on your computer, what's going to be expected of you, what you need to provide, documentation, information, financials from your accountant, everything. Be prepared. And goes to show, also collect the necessary documents. You have to have them on the computer. And we always like to see accounting documents added last when you're getting ready to submit, so they're not aged, because you will be asked for year-to-date profit and loss statements that need to be current. So just make sure that you're gathering this information right before you submit so it stays active and viable. Collect time-sensitive documents prior to submission. Check your revenue percentages. Make sure that you are not over that 70%. Refine your social disadvantage narrative. We actually provide narratives that have been approved by SBA by some of our 8A clients who have kind enough to present them to us for others to use as an example. And start documenting your contracts now. Every time you get a contract, write it down, assign a NAICS to it, and keep track of it, because there's a 12-month look back. So those are some tips that hopefully will help you send in a really well-organized package and get an easy 8A approval. Thank you for your time today. Questions?
All right. We don't have a question just yet, Lisa. Actually, just got one. Let's see. Melissa says, in completing the 8A application, what can you do when the Apex counselor generally does not respond? And when you speak with here, she says she is overwhelmed and too many clients and can only spend 20 minutes with you a month. Ooh.
And yeah, you need to reach out to the director of that program and tell her you need more time to do your 8A package and that your counselor is not being responsive.
All right. You were talking about having, the contractual obligation to support the application, right, for the 8A program. I know that there are different types of contracts, and this is a question that I have, simply because there are different contracts, right? And there's different ways to prove that experience with having handled such contracts. Are there other opportunities, that can prove that savviness, if you will, of having?
It's not like you're doing past performance on a capability statement. SBA needs to see that you know how to administer a contract from start to finish. So that's basically the preponderance of proof that you have to provide. I know how to negotiate a contract. I know how to follow the contract and close it out and get paid satisfactorily. They're not asking for people to give a reference. They just need to see that you can get the contracts and administer them. So it can be any kind of contract as long as it is a contractual obligation that you completed.
Okay. Let's see. We have a couple more questions, and then we're going to move on. Let's see. Okay, so Alan says, you mentioned that a business needed to complete a contract from beginning to end. Does the size of the contract matter?
No.
Okay. And will you, another attendee said, will you get a second chance to resubmit application if you don't get it right the first time?
Yeah, that's why they send out the deficiency letter. So they send out the deficiency letter and they say what they're looking for, and you give them everything and make sure you have somebody help you figure out what they're asking for exactly. And they'll look at what you've given them and then they'll make a determination from there. Like, okay, we're good. But if you are not eligible, they will just flat out deny you. And then you're going to have to wait a time period before you can resubmit again. So if you're just denied, you have to wait. I think it's 90 days to resubmit. So just make sure everything you're putting in there is exactly what they're looking for. Make sure you're eligible before you submit your package.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And Byron asked, what is the maximum about that the owner of the business can earn annually to remain in the 8A program?
I believe it's 6.5 million.
All right. And the final question regarding the response to Melissa's question, how does that work in the real world? These apps come in every day to counselors who really are overwhelmed. Does reporting them to their supervisor really work? Will we
No,
really get
we're
more time?
not. I'm not telling you to report to their supervisor. Just say you want another counselor who can spend more time with you. So when it happens with my Apex Accelerator, if one of my counselors is unable to devote the time that's needed to complete an 8A package for a client, I step in and I finish it with them. So everyone runs their Apex accelerators differently, but we really put extra special attention and emphasis on getting that 8A package submitted correctly. So if one of my counselors is not doing their job, I want to know about it and I will help complete that package. But that is my particular Apex accelerator.
Okay, awesome. Lisa, thank you so much. Excellent responses to our audience. All right, so the next presenter is Ms. Joanne Braxton. Joanne, take us away.
All righty. Thank you, Warren, for inviting me to be a part of this panel. And so I want to share share a little bit about, next slide, please, a little bit about who I am. And so I live at a level of compassion and empathy for others. And so I perform at a level of excellence, and I strive to add value to my family, friends, and in business. And so I am rooted and grounded in SBA products and services. I have 37 years of federal experience, most of that with SBA, 5 years with DOD. And so for over a decade, I managed 8A portfolios in Virginia and in Georgia. I understand the regulations, the program, and have worked with and learned from many 8A firms. I was a member of the original team with SBA that established the SBA All Small Mentor Protege program. I've managed $1 million contracts and served as the PM, the program manager for C-suite business development training nationwide with SBA, managed the Ascent program, which is an online learning tool, and that contract, and assisted with curating the federal contracting module. And so I am rooted and grounded in SBA, and I understand the topic we're covering today. And now, as a CEO to the Braxton Group, I have a unique perspective and skill set in the services that I provide, where my passion is to teach and empower small businesses how to navigate the complexity of this federal contracting space, utilize their certifications to win contracts. Next slide, please. And so the 8A program has great benefits and value. However, that comes with its challenges. And so for most small businesses seeking to do business with the government, navigating the tools that we send them to, they are challenged and struggle with grasping what to do. And so it just doesn't make sense to non-government folks, you know. And so the application process for the 8A program is rigorous and it requires substantial documentation, and this can be frustrating. And so the process from application to approval is lengthy. It takes several months. When you have high demand and limited resources, you have a gap. We just kind of heard that mentioned. And so this delay can be challenging for businesses that have established relationships, pending teaming or mentor prospects at hand, or needing faster processing times for upcoming opportunities. I would encourage you to do your due diligence. And if you intend to pursue 8A, meet the eligibility requirements, have the resources and the experience, make the commitment and get the process started. If you're ready, it will take you a while to get to the finish line. And please note that no one can guarantee 8A approval but the SBA. And so, you know, navigating the 8A programs, the rules, and the regulation requires a basic understanding of the guidelines, which can be complex and time-consuming for business owners not familiar with government contracting. You know, however, trying to grasp the 13 CFR 124 can blow your mind, you know, and so to minimize and overcome these challenges, you know, we've just heard from SBA and the Apex Accelerator, utilize the SBA resources, the SBA district offices, the SBA resource partners, and the Apex Accelerators to assist. And if further assistance is needed, seek out reputable for-profit companies that know how to assist you. Next slide, please. And for those that are in the 8A program and other small businesses with government, with the government as a customer, winning a contract is just the beginning. You know, businesses must have the operational capacity. The previous slide. Oh, I'm sorry, we're together. Okay. All right. So, yes, must have the operational capacity and the resources to deliver on contracts, which can be a steep learning curve for small businesses new to the federal contracting space. And so it's important to come to the program as an established business with resources, a team, and with past experience. And, you know, the in-depth assistance with identifying agencies to target, how to conduct market research, how to read and understand and interpret the data that you do collect, you know, that's critical, you know, and additionally, you know, despite the set aside access to contract opportunities, 8A firms still face competition, both from within the 8A community and from larger small business. And so, you know, I found that building relationships becomes critical. And so collaboration equals scalability and sustainability. You know, duplicate proven methods, seek potential mentors, teaming, and joint venture partners. And so again, you know, the SBA resource partners, the Apex accelerators, and consultants that specialize in government contracting and the 8A program can help mitigate these challenges. Seek out resources that can assist with strategic planning, building partnerships and alliances with those who have been where you are. And the next slide, please. And so, you know, you know, I wanted to share, next slide, please. Yeah, I wanted to share a little bit about, you know, the success of the program. Black Entertainment, Black Enterprise Magazine had David Stewart a couple of times as on their top 10 list, #1. He is the founder and the chairman of an IT provider, Worldwide Technology. Today, he boasts an impressive net worth of $7.6 billion as of March 2024. His journey of success is remarkable. He grew up in the segregated South, one of 7 siblings. His father worked as a mechanic, a janitor, and a trash collector under Karen Mills administration. She was an SBA administrator back in the late 80s or early 90s. Under that administration, Mr. Stewart was in the 8A program. And so he was quoted as saying, SBA's 8A business development program took his business to the next level. through the program, he landed a $10 million contract and started growing his business from there. And I like to share with businesses that, the 8A program has wings. You can fly using this tool. And just like Sandra, I have a passion for the 8A program. And so I am rooted and grounded in SBA programs and services, and specifically the 8A program. I'm committed to helping businesses navigate this space, leverage 8A certifications to win contracts. And I think there's a place for us all. You have your SBA district offices, the SBA resource partners, you have Apex accelerators, and you also have for-profit entities that are committed to your success in this federal contracting space. And the Braxton Group is a company that is committed to helping small business learn and navigate the complexity of the federal marketplace. Back to you, Warren. And that's my contact information.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Joanne. Excellent presentation. Oh, and then you ended with an example of a business that has certainly taken advantage of such a of the tool of the 8A Business Development Program. You mentioned about mitigation, right? As a consultant, you help to mitigate challenges. What have you found to be some of the challenges that that exist out there that you've been able to help in terms of reducing and mitigating those challenges?
Well, that comes in both of those categories. In the application phase as well as post approval, and so many folks are just overwhelmed with the complexity and the volume of what do I do. And so, as Lisa mentioned, you do have resources out there that can assist you. But sometimes, when you have a high demand and you have limited resources, there is a gap. And, there are other sources and resources available to you as well. And so, what comes to mind readily is a client who just was so overwhelmed and frustrated with the SAM registration piece. They are interested in applying for 8A, but getting through the SAM registration. And so and for those that are not in the government or work for government entities, it's just a different world and a different language, and it's a little overwhelming and confusing. And so just helping to provide clarity, break it down, and show them how to navigate and work through the processes that are required.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Joanne. Really appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're going to move really quickly to our next speaker, Miss Rebecca Reeves. Rebecca, take us away.
Hold on, Ms. Reeves, you're muted.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Rebecca, you're muted. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So it's been very interesting listening to the previous panelists, and they all reminded me of the journey that our company was on when we were awarded the 8A certification in 2005, December of 2005. In the few minutes that I have, what I'd like to share with the audience is a bit of that journey encapsulated in maybe 4 lessons learned, lots of lessons learned. This opportunity to share with you today gave me the privilege of going back through our 8A files to just remember. And again, there are lots of lessons learned, but I'd like to mention 4 in particular, and a couple of them you will find underscore what the previous speakers have said. So next slide, please. So the first lesson learned is that one has to be prepared for success beforehand. And you've heard from Sandra, from Lisa, from Joanne. All of them spoke to preparation. And so I hope that's a word that you live with. And the preparation involves gathering information from trusted sources, and most of those were mentioned. I would just add to the list as a lesson learned looking back that preparing for success, or even when to begin the process, may be accessible by talking with people who are currently in the program or who have exited the program. When I look back, there were people who were ending 8A at the time that I was beginning. And what I found was that I was able to get a picture of sorts of what they had gone through, realizing that no company is a cookie cutter company, but they were able to give me glimpses of what the process might look like. I would advise, so actually a suggestion is adding to the preparation, speaking with someone who's just maybe in the middle of their 8A. They would have different experiences. I know as I looked back, my experiences were different, and my responses to how things were going would be different at that stage than when we exited. So someone who's exited the program successfully could be helpful in the preparation as well. And the main thing is that you want to do your research and be ready. Next slide, please. So lesson 2 is one based on just an unfortunate experience that my company had. And I would say that once you awarded your certification in 8A and that gate opens, that you want to go in. My company came to 8A as an established business. We had contracts across many sectors, also state, local government, private sector, nonprofit, local organizations. So we were familiar with doing business. But as I think it was Joanne said, doing business with the federal government under 8A certification is like a new world. But one of the things that happened to our company is that we somewhat postponed our 9-year journey by paying more attention to the contracts that we already had and were very successful with. We were responding just a bit to our 8A opportunities, but not nearly as much as we needed to. And then in, I think it was 2008, our state began to experience a recession, and all of the contracts that we had paid the most attention to began to wither. Now we're almost 3 years into 8A. We had already done some business within 8A, but now we realized that we needed to have gone into that 8A gate in a robust way and use the vehicle that's provided. And I would say to you that one of the things that if we had to do over again, we would treat the 8A certification as a golden vehicle. And it also opens a world of imagination that allows a business to grow in ways that maybe had not been planned for, but also as planned for. And next slide, please. So lesson 3, this was alluded to, I know, again, at least I heard Joanne mention about learning the complexities, knowing that the FAR and compliance are both very, it's very demanding if you're in the 8A program, but you've got to learn the jargon, the sooner the better. what's an RFI, who are the key people who you're accounting to. Another interesting thing that happened to us is that the CO, contracting officer, is the only person who can make a final decision about changes on a contract. And on one of our contracts under 8A, we ignored the CO and deferred to what the program specialist requested us to do in the way of a change. What happened is that we had to pay back over $8,000 because we did not allow the CO to make that decision. We listened to the program specialist. So really learning the jargon and knowing the regulations that guide and direct the flow of contracts, really important. In fact, as I look back, I think one of the things that one has to do, whether newly come to business or having been there for years, is that one has to have a learning attitude, and it has to be continuous because there's a lot to learn on the federal level in terms of contracting. And my final lesson learned, number 4, that I'd like to mention, and next slide, please. Yes. And I'd like to do this by acknowledging a panelist who played very strongly in the success of our company, and that's Miss Joanne Braxton. She was our boss, and we fondly, as our company and other small businesses who were in the 8A program when our company was, we fondly talked about who's your boss. And those of us who shared Miss Braxton in common, all seem to feel the same way, that we really had someone who cared about our success. She would come to visit regularly. She'd look over our website, our capability statements, all the kinds of things that really helped to give us a leg up when we needed it. And so one of the lessons learned is that I would definitely say you need to put your boss, and that is your business opportunity specialist, on speed dial and get to know that person early on. And hopefully that person would be as beneficial to you as Joanne was to us when we were in the program. So business development is really possible through federal contracting and as an 8A. If I were to describe our exit, I would say that it was bittersweet. We could have gone farther if we had paid more attention and utilized our 8A vehicle in very strategic ways. But as we look back, we're very thankful that we had an opportunity to participate, and we've had the opportunity to actually allow an independent consultant to look over our shoulder over a period of 6 years to see the type of work that we do, as she was interested in seeking 8A certification. And in the last 2 years, she has been awarded her 8A certification. So those are some of the lessons learned, and any questions?
Sorry about that.
No,
I'm trying to get myself off of mute. Excellent presentation. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for this presentation. We have run out of time, but I'm going to ask everybody to please, if you do have a question, to please put it into the chat so that we can document it, and see if we can get those answered and sent to everyone toward the end. Well, I see a question here, so let me just ask really quickly. Ms. Braxton, do you now offer the same services you are provided when you were an SBA boss? Or you on mute. You on mute. There you
Thank
go.
you. Yes, I do offer them
Okay.
as an independent consultant, and would would I'd be happy to kind of share with you what I do and answer any questions that you have. I'm on LinkedIn, and my information was also in the on the slide.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. I want to thank all of you for the great questions. All of the audience, you gave some great questions. And I'm going to double check really quickly to see if there's any last one. Okay.
Quick question, Warren Chu.
Yes.
There was one that came through chat. Looks like
Yes.
Sarah S. It says, why does it take so long to get into the program? I applied in 2021. It is now 2024 and still pending.
Great. Yes, you can go ahead and answer that, anyone.
I'll take that. Well, it all depends. If you can send me the name of your company, we can actually figure out. In certain situations, we have returned your application, and you probably have not received the information either in certified or have not. I'm not sure what your circumstances is, but in situations where you have not responded to us, where we have sent the application back, your application is closed. We currently don't have any applications that are pending right now. We have really touched this, but please be advised that with the Ultima case, we did have to shut down the system. And we did have a backlog, so we had to pick things up again. So please go and check your account to see if someone from SBA inside of Certify, there's a message that your application was returned and we're pending. And I'm saying this because from 2021, I was the director, and as of now, we wouldn't have any applications pending from 2021. So if you can provide the name of your company, I would definitely go back and look into it and tell you exactly what's happening with your application. But based on that question, the statute says it's 90 days. It's 90 days, and it's actual 90 days when we have a complete package. So if you submit an application and we do what is called pre-screening within 15 days and it hasn't been accepted, your time does not start until we hit that stamp and it says acceptance for processing. So remember that it's 90 days. And if there's any back and forth, we advise, and I think everybody have said this, please pay attention to your emails, because it could be SBA returning your application, asking you for a question. And unfortunately, we're not going to keep the applications open for a while. After a while, you will have to resubmit documentations again to us, like financial statements or anything that's gone for 6 months. So we could definitely address your situation from 2021. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for answering that question. And excellent presentation by our speakers. Thank you so much. I'd like to proceed with closing now. We certainly wanted to thank you all for attending Get Results Preparation for 8A Business Development. This was possible through our work with the SBA Community Navigator Program, funded in part through a grant with the U.S. Small Business Administration. A tremendous thank you to our guest speakers, Ms. Sandra Barrett, Director of Management and Technical Assistance Division with the SBA. We have Lisa Wood, Statewide Director of Virginia Apex Accelerator, Ms. Joanne Braxton, CEO of the Braxton Group, and our final panelist, Ms. Rebecca Reeves, owner of R.K. Reeves and Associates Incorporated, and our Community Navigator Chambers for advocating for Black businesses, and to you, our viewers, for sharing in this discussion. This next slide shows the information concerning USBC, introduced by Black, the only Black certification program with a business directory, providing businesses that certify access to private and public procurement opportunities, highlights, and other benefits. This online program can help prepare you for the contracting space, as we've been discussing, as a documents preparation guide. Certify today by visiting usblackchambers.org/certification. Join us for upcoming events, such as the for April 16th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We have Watch Party, Going to the Next Level, Successful Hiring and Cash Flow Strategies. Here we have speakers from SCORE Mentors will be sharing strategies on this popular topic, aired last year and replayed due to the great responses of business owners interested in adding to their staff and the financial literacy that goes along with that accomplishment. We also have April 17th at 6 p.m. Eastern. We have Preparing Your Next Contract Bid. Are you a small business owner with the questions about the contract bidding process? Again, focused on contracting. Get your questions answered by our panelists at this 1-hour national contract conversation. Discover the best practices when submitting bids or proposals to increase your 2024 revenue. And then May 2nd at 1 p.m. Eastern, we have Verizon Small Business Digital Ready program. Join us for the Verizon Small Business Digital Ready program, an exciting online event designed to help small businesses thrive in the digital world. Whether you're just starting out or looking to enhance your knowledge and gain insight into running a successful business, this program is packed with valuable insights and practical tips. During this event, you'll gain access to the portal of offering key resources, free online courses, expert coaching, and one-on-one mentoring and peer networking. At times, even grant opportunities. So, for more events like these, regularly visit Certify for upcoming events at usblackchambers.org/webinars. And again, I just want to mention here that we will be providing the slides and resources to everyone that registered for the event. And any questions that we did not get a chance to answer, we will definitely include the responses from our panelists to include in that email to you. Follow us on social media at usblackchambers.org. And if today's forum prompted additional questions and interests, feel free to contact us at programs@usblackchambers.org. Thank you for joining us today. And again, a special thank you to our panelists for sharing their wealth of information and wisdom with us today. Enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week.